Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for this session. I'm going to let everybody join here, maybe give a couple of seconds for folks to make it over to this session, and then we will get started. All righty. Amazing. Well, hi, everybody, and welcome. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Brinton. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm a senior content marketer here at Handshake. I don't have my gear on today for Spirit Day, but I do have a hat from my alma mater, UC Davis. Go Aggies. So, woohoo. In my role, I have the privilege of building relationships with students and hearing from them directly about the ups and downs of their job searches. And I'm super excited to be able to foster a conversation here today with a few fabulous students from the class of 2024. All righty, awesome. Are my fellow panelists here? Perfect.
Hi.
All righty, amazing. Y'all, if you don't mind quickly introducing yourselves, sharing your school, your area of study, and your name. Bernali, how about you kick us off since you are joining us at almost 10 p.m. your local time as you're studying abroad. Want to give you the kind of first chance to introduce yourself.
Thank you. My name is Bernali Marshall. I'm a second semester junior at LSU. I'll be graduating December 2024 in data science. And yeah, I'm currently studying abroad in the Middle East.
Amazing. Thank you so much for making the time to be here, despite the hour and despite the distance. Matt, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, hello, everybody. My name is Matt. I'm a senior at ASU studying business communications.
Awesome. And Jamie, that leaves you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jamie Gonzalez, and I'm currently a senior attending UCSC, and I'm also planning to graduate 2024 in June.
Amazing. Thank you all so much. So as you all mentioned, you're all planning to graduate in 2024, Matt and Jamie after the spring, Bernali in the winter. Do you mind sharing a bit about your career goals and what you're hoping to do after you receive your diplomas? Matt, let's start with you.
So I'm looking to enter the career field after this year. I'm really looking to focus on a company that, really cares about my work ethic and my entrepreneurial spirit. I really want to feel like valued when I wake up every morning, both ways. Like I really feel value in my own life working for a certain company, and the company really feels value with me having them work for them as well.
Amazing. I love that. That's so important, the kind of dual value. And that's a really great perspective as you head into your job search. Jamie, can you share a little bit more about your career plans?
Yeah, so currently I hope to attend physician assistant school after I graduate. And I'm currently a phlebotomist, so I just love working with people and whether it's medical or online when I work social media positions, I just hope to pursue both of those.
Amazing. And Bernali, how about you?
Yeah, I'm looking to go into the commercial side of data analytics, specifically commercial technology, and definitely, like Matt said, somewhere with a really good work culture.
Fantastic. I think the culture is so important, and I know we're going to get into that in a little bit, but I want to thank you all for being here and super excited to hear more about your career plans. With that being said, I know that a lot of our audience are focused on recruitment for this coming year, for virtual events, virtual recruiting, and in-person events on campus. How are y'all going to be searching for roles this year? Will you be using Handshake? Will you be attending these types of events? Bernali, I know that because you're studying abroad over the next few months, it might be a little bit different for you, but maybe Jamie and Matt can chime in here. Jamie, can you talk about your recruitment plans this year?
Yeah, so I've actually been looking for jobs myself personally. So I've been utilizing Handshake and my campus's career center. And I'm also hoping to join virtual job fairs as well as in-person ones once they start the quarter.
Amazing. Yeah. Jamie, I forgot UC Santa Cruz, you haven't started yet. You're not going to be back at school until late September. It's always so funny to see the different terms and when those start. Matt, can you share a little bit about your kind of recruitment plans this year?
Yeah, so same as Jamie, I'm really looking to utilize those career services as well as Handshake. Handshake seems to be the way to prepare for those in-person events. So like if employers show up on those events, I'm going to definitely want to attend, look through it all on Handshake, and then mostly go in person just because I believe that in person is, one of the greater ways to like find jobs and really meet people in the face of the company. But then using Handshake in the background to like really establish like who I want to talk to at the career fairs, so that I'm not talking to like every table while I'm there. But yeah.
Awesome. And Bernali, I know that I said that it might be kind of weird for you, but if you have anything you want to add to, we'd be happy to hear it.
Yeah, normally I'm a big proponent for in-person events, but with studying abroad, I'm going to be attending a lot more virtual events this year and still using Handshake as usual.
Amazing. Well, I've had the chance to speak with each of you previously and learn a little bit more about your longer term goals and dreams. I'd love to hear a little bit more about when you're engaging with employers on Handshake, the things that you consider when you're deciding whether or not to apply to a role or talk to an employer, maybe attend an event and meet with them. Bernali, let's start with you because I know when we initially met and we had our first conversation, you shared a lot about your feelings on salary transparency in your decision making.
Yeah, I think that students try really hard to differentiate ourselves from other applicants. However, I noticed that sometimes companies don't do the same. And you can have an amazing company, but they don't market themselves well. And you'll see like two positions that are wildly different, but their descriptions on Handshake are the same, you know? And so they don't mention pay, they don't mention their work culture, work-life balance, any like demographics, like what's the average age, you know, in this position, like chain of command or anything like that. And so one thing that I really look for is like in their description, what makes them different from other employers? Because you can have an amazing company, but they just don't let you know what's amazing about them.
Yeah, I think that's a super great takeaway is the importance of really like bringing your company culture to life through your Handshake profile when you're trying to recruit. All of you are Gen Z. I think that understanding the larger picture of what your organization's like is something that we've heard is so important. Matt, I'd love to toss this question over to you as well. What are some of the things that you consider when you're deciding whether or not to apply?
So I feel as though like as students, we do receive a lot of messages. Unfortunately, a lot of those messages seem to be the same. So I feel the more like personalized the message could be, the more likely I am to like engage with that employer. I really like the idea of messaging because it kind of shows that they like want to reach out to you. And that's kind of a good way for employers to recruit. But maybe if the message was more like human and like personalized and things like that, as well as their page, just like Bernali was saying, I would be more likely to engage with those recruiters on Handshake.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you for sharing that. And Jamie, I'd love to hear about you as well. As you're kind of thinking through when you're looking at roles on Handshake and companies, what stands out to you?
Yeah, of course. Kind of like what Bernali mentioned, I do think as Gen Z like continues the workforce, I think we kind of take mental health and like diversity seriously, especially as a first generation student. What I kind of look for is like I guess how proud or kind of like how similar Bernal mentioned of what they think work ethic is and like the office and what it's like to work. And of course, like emphasizing that mental health is important. I know some corporations or employers mention like mental health days or anything similar to that. I've noticed that in itself, a lot of people I know are actually looking for that now, especially after loans and such like that.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really great point, and that actually that leads me into my next question. But I think a lot of the theme of the programming today has been mental health and understanding the things that really matter to your class based on kind of what we've heard from your peers, and that definitely tracks with everything that we've seen. Randy discussed in the previous section that shifts in sentiments about the economy have really kind of impacted the class of 2024 in general. The weight of the financial considerations that many class of 2024 job seekers are contending with, especially, as you mentioned, Jamie, the resumption of student loan repayment in a couple of weeks. The job search might look a little bit different this year. The financial considerations might be a little bit different for folks right now. So Jamie, can you talk a little bit about how the kind of current financial state and your financial considerations are weighing into your job search after graduation?
Yeah, so my I guess process of thinking about what to do after I graduate and also right now currently is I sadly have to think about carrying two jobs. I'm currently a phlebotomist, so my mindset is like I'm gonna continue that and also look for a second job to help repay my loans, and hopefully whatever jobs are provided, it could of course help class of 2024 help pay for loans, or at least like, I guess, give more insight over time, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And Matt, I know I'm going to get to a question in a little bit about kind of, holding more than one job, but I'd love to hear just more broadly when you're thinking about your peers as they're looking at their job search, and maybe you yourself, how kind of financial considerations right now are weighing into your job search.
Yeah, totally. I believe that stability is probably the most important thing. And most of my friends are working like extra jobs even during their college years. So I'd imagine that they're looking to work, a lot during like once they graduate, or they're really looking to get into the workforce. But I think people are just mostly looking for stability and making sure that that job is still available to them within the next 5 years. There's a ton of layoffs in the public news. So most of us these days, when we're looking for that job search, we're just making sure that we're not going to be the next person on that list of unfortunate, from that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. I think, there's a lot of factors contributing to kind of the larger financial anxiety, especially as y'all are planning to graduate and enter the job force. Bernali, do you have any thoughts on this topic?
Yeah, I think that financial pressure really weighs on my decision on whether I'm going to go into my master's or not. I don't just get to decide like, oh, I'm interested in the master's, I need to do it. It's more like, well, how much would I make if I got a master's, and can I afford to even get my master's without scholarships? And so that's been a big thing for me. Can I afford to go straight into the workforce, and can I afford not to?
Yeah, wow, that's a really good way to put it. And I guess several of your answers have kind of led into this next one, but are any of you anticipating, needing to hold more than one job or maintain a side hustle after graduation? Matt, I know that you currently run a small business on the side while you're also in school and working and kind of balancing all of your current things. Can you talk a little bit about, your plans for potentially having more than one income stream after graduation?
Yeah, totally. So I believe it's important to have, these interests and things like that you really, care about outside of school and work and stuff like that. So for me, it just happened to be a business, and I look to continue that, as a tool to not only make money, but to continue to improve my like personal skill set and things like that. There's a lot of direct correlation between things I'm learning from my business, things I'm learning in school, and then, vice versa, that you're able to apply to the workforce. So I believe that it's good for students to like have interests, especially if those interests and hobbies are making them money on the side. Unfortunately, with this economy, it might be more of they have to have something on the side. But the more you are to get it to be something that you're really interested in, and the more it kind of correlates with your everyday life, the easier it is to manage everything at the same time.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And Jamie, you mentioned that you're planning to kind of work a second job in addition to, full-time employment after graduation. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, of course. Wherever I go, where after I graduate, I plan to continue my phlebotomy job as a side. Compared to, I'm so sorry. I'm majoring in global community health, so I hope to pursue that after. But of course, my phlebotomy would be my side job.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I know you're a content creator as well. So that's a side hustle that a lot of folks like to kind of continue regardless of what work they pursue. And I love to watch a good TikTok. So thank you for sharing that. I'm interested to hear a little bit more, thinking about financial readiness. One of the things that we've heard in our recent kind of surveys with students is kind of different feelings about readiness to kind of think about pay and salary negotiation when you're entering the workforce and when you're dealing with kind of the recruitment process, how to advocate for yourself, how to understand what your options are, and really how to navigate those conversations. Bernali, I'd love to hear your thoughts on salary negotiation and how you feel like employers can better set you and your peers up for success when it comes to that kind of pay transparency that we talked about a little bit earlier.
Mm-hmm. I think it can be really scary and intimidating to engage in salary negotiation, but a lot of times it's necessary. Obviously, the business is trying to cut costs, and you're trying to make sure that you're being valued for your work. And so I understand businesses starting on a lower pay range, but as students and as applicants, it's our job to negotiate so that we're getting paid for the work that we're doing, getting paid fairly. And I think that pay transparency is so, so, so important. It not only does it encourage a culture of trust and openness from the business to the employer, but it also makes sure that you as an individual aren't being undervalued for your work, and to make sure that the entire industry isn't being undervalued, because there are a lot of industries like that where maybe you're not the one making the least in your job, but everyone doing your job isn't getting paid enough,
For sure. And do you use kind of the information that you can find on Handshake to feel better equipped to kind of engage in those conversations in good faith with employers?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, and I think this is something that a lot of people experience, but for me, I feel shy negotiating my salary because I'm like, I don't know if I should ask for that much. Like, am I worth that? And so to see what other companies value you at, with your specific skill set, it gives you confidence to ask other companies like, hey, could you value me the same way or a similar way, or maybe balance it out with different benefits packets and things like that. It gives me a lot more confidence being able to use Handshake to see what other salaries are out there.
That's awesome. Yeah, thank you so much. And Matt, do you have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, so I wish that more companies would post their like pay transparency on Handshake, especially in the initial process of going through all the different companies that exist. There's a lot of different listings for jobs and things like that, and I think it would be better if all of them had pay transparency, because pay, whether or not you want to admit to it, is one of the most important aspects when you are looking for a job. So the more transparency, the better. But I do feel equipped to negotiate salary. And also I realize that there are other things worth negotiating for, like benefits and things like that. So as students, I think we really need to educate what those benefits give to us and how much their value is, and if we can get more benefits and things like that out of company, as well as salary. So just negotiating almost every aspect of the job search and the benefits and things like that.
Yeah, I think that's such a good point. Particularly thinking about more holistic benefits packages. I think that's something that, props to you, because I feel like sometimes that's something that people don't realize until they're a little bit more tenured in the workforce. But clearly, among you and your peers, that's a big factor weighing on your decisions. We actually, when surveying over 1,100 students from the class of 2024, some of the most influential factors that were reported besides salary when considering roles were job stability, which I know you mentioned earlier, Matt, good overall benefits packages, diverse leadership teams, which Jamie, I know that you mentioned, remote or flexible work, which I think was mentioned earlier too. So you guys are just really hitting the nails on the head, and mental health benefits, which we talked about a little bit earlier. When the three of you are looking at employer materials, attending events, or meeting people from a potential employer, do you notice when these factors are mentioned or included in kind of the materials? And do you know where you can kind of find information about this stuff? And I guess to tack onto that, like, are you more likely to choose one job over another based on these kind of benefits and representation? I guess maybe I will kick it to you, Jamie, because I think you haven't talked in a little bit.
Yeah, so when you mentioned comparing to two other employers, I would consider, I guess, the benefits to, of course, pay transparency, like what we mentioned, or of course the diverse employing, and I guess in my opinion, I think that's more important to us compared to, I guess, before. And especially now with campuses giving resources on how to do pay negotiations, like in case you didn't know, or if you're a first-gen student, I think that's great, because now with everything so expensive, like, we're not, I guess, kids to not be taken seriously, but I just really admire that with what's happening nowadays.
Yeah, for sure. And I think all of the folks who are here attending definitely take you seriously. Everybody really values your insights. So don't talk yourself down. You aren't kids. You will be taken seriously. And that's why everybody's here. We really want to make sure that you're set up for success. Matt, I'd love to hear from you. Do you feel like you know where to find the information about benefits and, diverse leadership teams, the kind of like the larger picture? I know you mentioned that you wish that this was something that was brought up a little bit earlier in the recruitment process sometimes, so that you don't have to kind of feel awkward asking.
Yeah, totally. And whether you're engaging with an employer like at a career fair or online or anything, I feel like the information for the benefits and stuff like that is normally pretty hard to access. Of course, it's going to be available on most company websites and those in areas like that. But maybe if companies made like a flyer or a pamphlet that could be attached to the Handshake profile. And like, once again, like I said before, just kind of putting the whole spectrum on Handshake so that I don't have to go and do a bunch of research outside of the company. Even though all the information does exist, it would be better if all the information was on one screen, just because we are getting so much different companies and different kind of opportunities all day long.
Yeah, I feel like there's never been a generation like yours that has so much competing for your attention online, right? So the more streamlined your experience can be and the less kind of searching you have to do, the better for everybody, I think. Brunelli, did you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I really agree with what Jamie was saying. I'm also a first generation student, and I find a lot of times I have to turn to my school's career center because I can't ask at home, like, oh, like, what should I do with this? And my mom's like, I'm so sorry, baby, I don't know. And so I think it's really important to have that transparency and to look at the benefits package. Going back to your original question, I think it's so important to weigh in the factors of like what your benefits are actually worth. Because when you have a job that is paying a lot but doesn't have as good of benefits, when you actually weigh it out, that job with the better benefits may be giving you more bang for your buck, so to say.
For sure. Thank you so much. And I really appreciate all of you kind of talking about the things that are really important for you as you're looking through, your career options and thinking about how to advocate for yourselves and for your value. I think we'll probably have some time. I told the panelists that I didn't think we would have time for Q&A today because I thought we were going to take a really long time getting through these questions, but they've been so clear and efficient. We'll probably have time to get to some Q&A from the audience here. But before we do that, I actually want to pivot a little bit. Another hot topic among today's job seekers, and I think among anybody who's just been following the news, to be quite honest, that I know was touched on in the previous session is generative artificial intelligence tools. So Gen AI such as ChatGPT or DALL-E or Bard. I'd love to hear a little bit about if Gen AI is factoring into your studies, job search, or career plans, and whether any of you are planning to upskill in AI or whether you're using AI tools already, to be quite honest. I know that several of you might be. And Brunelli, when I mentioned this to you and we were kind of waiting around before the event, I know you were really excited to talk about AI, so I'll toss it over to you first.
Yeah, in data analytics, AI, like they cross over so much. AI is really creeping into every industry, but in data analytics, it's really quick. It's creeping in quickly. We have a lot of automation in data analytics, and AI just makes everything so much faster. A lot of people are worried that it will like take over our jobs. At least in data analytics, it's not there yet. AI makes so many mistakes, but and you really need humans to kind of like watch over it and make sure it's not making those mistakes, because especially in commercial data analytics, if it makes one mistake, it could end up costing a company millions of dollars. And so for a lot of companies, it's not worth it to do that just for, the cost cut of paying to, have an AI working instead of people. But yeah, I'm absolutely upskilling in AI. If I do choose to get my master's, it will be in machine learning. I think AI is an amazing tool, but fortunately, I don't think it's taking our jobs just yet.
Awesome. That's a really good insight. And Matt, I know that you kind of perked up when I mentioned AI too. Are you using AI yet?
Yeah, I mean, I use AI for school, for my business and everything like that. I just think it's very important for AI to become another skill set that students can use it's only going to help improve quality of work and how fast and things and how efficient we are as workers. So if we're that generation that's kind of being brought up using computers, and now we're that generation that's graduating with AI and things like that, I think we're really going to be set up well to use those things and improve businesses. As well as improve our everyday life just by using those things. There's a lot of the tedious work that it gets rid of, and I'm not really afraid of it taking over for like the job search or anything like that.
That's awesome. And Jamie, I know that your field of study might be a little bit more further removed from kind of Gen AI, but is that something that you're thinking about when you look at your career path as well?
Yeah, kind of like what everyone mentioned, we're in the generation where AI is getting prominent, and I'm really happy that we're confident, we're not really afraid of it. We could utilize it to our advantages. Even though my, study is far from AI, I do personally use it as a student to help with the tedious work, like planning or scheduling or needing help figuring stuff out. But it's something that we can utilize and not really afraid of it.
Yeah, I feel like I need to take a card out of y'all's book and start figuring out how to make AI work for me. So thank you for the inspiration. And so lo and behold, we actually do have time for some audience questions, which is fantastic. Y'all have been so great. Let me just quickly noodle on which ones we should ask. Oh, here's a good one. When you are attending company booths at career fairs, what is your main priority or what attracts you the most to talk to companies? How much do y'all care about company swag, handouts, personal direct conversations, impromptu interviews, etc.? Maybe I'll just open the floor here. How much does that matter to you and what kind of draws you over to a booth? Matt, I know you said you kind of prepare in advance to figure out which employers you're going to talk to at a career fair, but is there anything when you're walking the hall that you spot it and you're like, I'm going to go talk to that company?
Yeah, I mean, I love company swag. It definitely helps. I love getting stuff like that. But I do like to prepare prior to going to the career fairs just so that I know like what specifically companies are looking for and if I actually my skill set work for those jobs. I don't want to take it as like, let me talk to 40 different companies. So there's not a lot that goes on with the booths because I already kind of have my mindset based on my research prior. So like I said, again, with the handshake profiles, like the better handshake profiles people have, it will attract me to their booth, as well as my school kind of usually like shows you where everything is at, like where the tables are and things like that. So maybe table position is also pretty important. I did notice that people were just kind of gravitating towards the ones with more lines and things like that, that usually happens. But for me, that stuff is important, but it's not the end all be all. So it just more matters about how they engage you, how they look at your resume, like if they're planning on maybe having an event later that day or anything like that. All that stuff makes a bigger difference in terms of recruitment and how high I'd prioritize that employer on my list.
Yeah, I didn't even think about kind of the FOMO factor of like seeing lines somewhere and people just getting in a line because they see that there's already a lot of attention being paid to a specific booth. That's a really interesting call out. And I love that you go in with a game plan and kind of do your research in advance to feel really prepared. Jamie and Bernali, did you have any thoughts on this about, in-person events? What's attractive to you?
For me, I really like personal direct conversation. I have been to job fairs where the recruiters just kind of seem like they don't want to talk to you. And it's a really strange phenomenon, and it just kind of makes you feel like, okay, I'll go somewhere else. Like, it discourages you from learning about the company, and I've also had amazing conversations with recruiters, and I'm like, well, like now that we've told each other our life stories, like, what does your business do? Like, give me a pamphlet, I'll look at it. I'll also say that company swag sometimes does work, especially if it's something unique. I remember I went to a booth that was a company that sells plumbing equipment, and they had these stress balls, but they were shaped like toilets, and I thought it was the funniest thing. And anytime I'd like be cleaning my room and I'd find it again, I'd like laugh and like look at the brand again, So those types of things help. And I will be honest, also when booths have like a raffle or like a game to play, it also like I just hone in. I'm like, wait a second, I need to go over there. So those do help.
If anybody in the audience is the one who designed a stress ball toilet, props to you, because clearly that was an effective marketing lever and you've engaged your early talent. So great job. Awesome. Jamie, have you been to any career fairs recently and had any takeaways? Or when you think about going to your career fairs once this starts, what appeals to you?
When I went to a career fair last year, I did notice that, like, since it's the college audience, what made people attracted to them is, of course, like, I guess Renali kind of mentioned, like, I guess open people who are open to talk to students and like not like close to themselves, and of course like the little games. And I do personally like the swag too, especially if it's really personalized. Like I know a tote bag that grabbed everyone's attention, no matter what the company was. I don't even remember what the company was, but I do appreciate the direct conversations, which can lead to impromptu interviews depending on who's talking to. But I do believe like talking and like reaching out to students by verbal is the most effective way.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, all of you, for your on-the-fly answers there. I think that's probably getting people really excited for in-person career fairs this fall. I'm going to scroll through a couple more questions here and see which ones we can get to. Okay, question from the audience. Along with student debt following graduation, how impactful or attractive will it be for you to be employed with an employer who can either, one, help pay off your debt, Or 2, be eligible to wipe off your student debt after 10 years on the job. If this attracts you, what would such employers do to attract young talent about to graduate from college? Jamie, I know we've talked a little bit about kind of student loans and kind of the influence there. Do you want to answer this one?
Yeah, of course. So I would actually be attracted to this idea, like number 1 and 2. And if this attracts you, what should employers do? I think what employers should do that would, of course, get our attention is be transparent with it. And I would think it would be nice to like have it stated in the job review and like the outline of it. I think from there that would just get people's attention, and if not, like be able to contact them, because I know on Handshake you can send a message. So I know hopefully from that would get people's attention.
Yeah, so really like advertising that as a benefit and making sure that, I know students can search on Handshake with specific keywords and specific filters and stuff too. So, if you're pretty forthright about that benefit, that can be really helpful for helping students who might be interested find you. And Matt and Brinali, I don't know if this question is relevant to either of you, but if this is something you want to weigh in on, feel free to jump in.
I personally, I was fortunate enough to be able to work quite a few jobs in college, and so I didn't accrue student debt. But I think honestly, this might even like reel me in, because I'd be like, this company really cares about their employees. So yeah, I think it'd get me too.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Not so much the student debt thing, but just any kind of education within an employer, like if they're willing to pay some money for masters or do any kind of tuition reimbursement, it's all very valuable down the line, and definitely something I would value.
Yeah, awesome. Kind of the investment in early talent and understanding where you and your peers are, I think is really important. Amazing. Let me scroll through. Is DEI something you look into when taking a look at companies? If so, what exactly do you look for? I think Jamie and Brinali, you both mentioned being first-gen students and kind of really valuing like having a diverse leadership board. I'd love to open this to all of you if you have any thoughts here about DEI and companies. No pressure. I can also popcorn to people if you want me to.
Oh, I can go first, sorry. But yeah, DEI is something I really take seriously when it comes to looking for jobs at companies. And what I exactly look for is, of course, being able to see, I guess, who is employed into the job. I know in Handshake you can do that as well, but of course I would take my research and figure out like who's working or who is like publicly on the website, or take factors such like that. But I would start from there to figure out the DEI situation, because I would take that seriously, and that's like important to me.
Yeah, Matt or Brinali, do you have anything to add here? Otherwise, we can move on to another question.
I can add something. I think especially with in-person jobs, the diversity in the company reflects what the city is like, and so I would be more attracted to a more diverse company, because if I'm moving to that city, I'd like to be able to have maybe a community that I'm used to while still expanding my horizons and meeting new people, and so that would still be important to me, with the diversity of the company.
Yeah, that's a really good call out. I never quite thought about like how a company's representation can also be reflective of the larger community when you're thinking about relocating for work. That's awesome. Thank you so much for weighing in. Okay. This question got quite a few upvotes. I don't know if that's what it's actually called in this platform, but I use Reddit, so I use upvotes as my as my terminology here. But what gets your attention on internship postings? Like, say you're scrolling and you're looking at a bunch of different internships. Like, what catches your eye and makes you click in to learn more?
For internships, usually for internships, you're going to be paid less than you would be for like a normal full-time position. And so for me, it's benefits. I know I looked at a job with Roblox in California, and their benefits were amazing. They were like, Caltrain pass and give you free lunch and all these things. And so even though, yeah, the pay was good, the benefits were even better. And they sold me on the benefits before I even looked at the pay. So benefits are definitely something I look for with internships. And I think it can be quite feasible for businesses who, of course, can't pay like a full-time salary for an intern with, less experience than someone who's graduated and worked for a few years. So I really like benefits and internships.
That's awesome. Matt, Jamie, did you have any thoughts on this?
I feel like internships, when you're searching for them, can be kind of broad. So I really look for like the more specific ones where you're really able to kind of tell exactly what you're going to go into. And also internships are more of a learning opportunity and not really where you're pushed to the side just doing your own work. So a lot of opportunity for like learning and things like that would also be great. So if that could be like emphasized in the job posting where it's like, this is a training role, you're going to be getting a lot of valuable experience and things like that, I think would better attract college students.
Awesome. Jamie, did you have anything you wanted to add there? Otherwise, I can move on to one last question for us.
Yeah, I just wanted to emphasize what everyone else has been saying. I know like a one-on-one mentorship with one of the employees is like a good benefit that's given out that I would personally take advantage of, as well as like more benefits like if you have to travel to get to there, like a stipend for gas or like a stipend to like just like a stipend as an intern. That like stands out to what my friends and I would look for.
Awesome. Okay, that leaves us with one last question before we have to wrap up. I feel like I could like throw questions at y'all all day. You're handling these like pros. Let's see. What are some factors you consider when considering accepting an offer, whether internship or full-time?
I think it really comes down to the whole topic of the student panel that we've had, but mostly meaningful work, growth opportunities, stability and balance with the job, and just all the kind of stuff like that. Anything that encompasses that. I just want to feel very confident every day waking up that I'm going to have my job, that I'm going to enjoy my job, and then I want to go to it the next day, that kind of thing. So as well as it being very rewarding, that kind of thing. So that's what I really look for in my job search.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Sorry, did I step on somebody here? Bernali, did I
No,
step on you?
you did. Sorry.
I was just going to say, Jamie, Bernali, if you have any thoughts here, factors that you consider when you're weighing whether to accept an offer, that'd be awesome.
I 1000% agree with Matt. I think literally everything we've mentioned, the company culture, the pay, the open communication, like if in my interview, I felt like I would love to work with you, then I think that's always a plus. So yeah, I absolutely agree with Matt. I second that.
That's fantastic. And Jamie, how about you?
Oh yeah, my bad. Going off of what everyone else has been saying, I kind of think of it as like a pie circle where it's like, oh, does it fulfill financially? Does it fulfill, I guess, mental wise, like emotionally? Do I want to actually work there? Does it fill up what I can do educationally with it? I guess those factors alone that would consider accepting an offer.
Yeah, that's so important. The holistic benefit of this job. What boxes is it going to check for you, and kind of weighing all of those things. Thank you all so much. Can't express how like enlightening this has been for me. That's all the time we have for today, but have to extend a huge thank you to everybody on our student panel for your candor, your vulnerability, and for your insights. I know that I saw in the chat people were really, really excited with some of these takeaways and finding a lot of value here. So I know I speak for everybody here when I wish you the best of luck during your final year of undergrad. So exciting. And in your future job search. I know that all three of you have really bright futures ahead and going to do great things. For the audience, as a reminder, starting Friday, this event website will turn into an on-demand hub that you can keep coming back to all fall to get everything you need for a great back-to-school season. So this website will give you access to the recordings of all of our webinar sessions like this one from the boot camp, along with additional resources, tips and tricks, how-to guides, reports, and ebooks, just to name a few. And to access all of this great content, you'll simply click your unique link that you used to join us today and click on the menu at the top of the website to view these resources. Feel free to invite your colleagues as well to register for access to the hub. And with that being said, thank you all so much for being here today. This has been such a pleasure. And thank you to our panelists for everything they had to offer to us today. So everyone have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you.